Welcome to another edition of Success Talk. This is Dr. Herbert Harris, and each week we bring you stories of victory. We share stories with people who have faced obstacles, overcome obstacles, and made breakthroughs. Today we have a young entrepreneur, Miss Shelly Currie, who's an entrepreneur, one of those people that I just love some of the work that she's doing. And we have her on Success Talk to share information about her story, her victories, and some of the great things she's done. Welcome, Shelly.
Welcome. Thank you for having me.
Well, I tell you, it's always a pleasure to meet and talk with lady entrepreneurs. You know, there was a study done, and they were saying that over 70% of the new entrepreneurs coming into different businesses are women.
And that I see as I'm out and about, I see there are more of us out there now.
Yeah, yeah. And so I salute that because it's just an amazing thing to see that women seem to have gotten I don't know, they seem to have taken the entrepreneurship better than men in some instances.
True.
Mhm. Can you angle your camera down a little bit so your face is a little high? There, yeah, there we go. Yeah, that's perfect, perfect,
Okay.
perfect. So tell us a little about yourself, Shelly. Your early life and how you started off on this journey.
Well, I'm Shelly Currie. I'm from Apex, North Carolina. Been here my entire 60 years of life. This is home. This is my community. Um, my house that I live at now is on our family farm. Um, I started out just like anybody else, mom and dad, very supportive, making sure we got their education, going to school, finish high school. And while I was in high school, I fell in love with accounting and math, wanted to know how the numbers work, keeping books. And that became my trigger. And then as I got older, other things became a part of my life, but it kind of all rolls back to wanting to be financially fit.
Wow. And now that in itself, I love that term, financially fit. I like that. As you have brothers and sisters?
I do not. I am an only child.
Well, that makes two of us.
Yeah,
And my daughter. Yeah.
yeah. But
Yeah.
now I have what I call four children. Two I
Hmm.
gave birth to, and two I didn't give birth to, but I call them my own.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That's beautiful. Now, as you, if you say in your real job, before you became an entrepreneur, what were you doing?
I was in accounting.
Okay.
I started out at the Department of Revenue,
Uh-huh.
and I worked there for years. And then when I left there, I went on maternity leave with my last child,
Mhm.
and I didn't go back. I took
Okay.
some time out to enjoy life and be with my children. And then I had family that retired and moved back to North Carolina. So they became my helpmates with my children. And that's when I went back into the workforce.
Wow. Okay.
And when I went back to work, I got back into accounting, working with numbers and helping families. Because
Okay. And that's something right now that is so critical to help families become financially fit. Do with all the technology that we have, do you feel that, like, for example, right now people are more aware of financial fitness, or maybe when we were younger, maybe we were more aware? What do you think of that?
I think I was more aware in my younger days than the younger people are today,
Mm,
because they have more, I think, outlets to get those resources than we did.
uh-huh.
But I think that they don't take it as seriously as we did because
Mm,
we saw what it took to get a penny and hold on to that penny and make that penny grow.
hmm
I think our youth now are so, because we want our children to do better and have better, we have made it a little bit too easy for them. They don't
mm,
realize what it takes to really get out there and make it and hold on to it and make it grow for them.
you know, you know, Shelly, a friend of mine was telling one of his coworkers, and he said, the coworker was telling him, say, my son's had a couple of jobs, and he gets on a job, and you know, he doesn't like it, and next thing you know, he's quit that job and gone to another one. So my friend said, he said, well, how can your son do that? And the man said, because he's still living at home, not paying any rent, not buying any food. And so I think as parents, I think we want the best for our kids, but when we don't give them a real, in our days, if you didn't pay your rent or pay your mortgage, you get an opportunity to live in the woods.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, there,
Yeah.
yeah, yes.
And our parents said, you better get a job. When I left home for college, at one point I wanted to come back home. My mother said, well, I've already rented your room. Yeah.
Yeah, and when my children was coming up, I had a minivan, and I
Mhm.
was the taxi, soccer, football, basketball, baseball, gymnastics, cheerleading, you name it, I was it. When I dropped that last one off at college, that SUV and that van was gone. I let them know that my job is done. I have done what I came here to do.
Mm-mm-mm. Wow. Now, tell us a little about the business you're in now.
I am now offering safety options for families.
Mm-hmm.
I After I stopped working for in the accounting field, I took some time off, mental health, and I was just made me happy rather than going to a 9 to 5 every day just to
Uh-huh.
make ends meet. And I was my youngest daughter was in a job that terrified me. So I was doing a little research on what I could do to have something where she could be safe while she was out and about and doing her job.
Mm-hmm.
And believe it or not, a few days after I was doing some research, I saw a article or came up on Good Morning America.
Mm-hmm.
And then I Googled that company, researched that company. Believe it or not, within a couple of weeks of that, that company was coming to Raleigh, North Carolina. And I went and set in on what they called back then a drop in because this was a new company and they
Uh-huh.
were dropping into different states, different cities to educate people on what they offer because it's unique. This
Mm-hmm.
company, the company that I represent, we offer non lethal safety options for the entire family.
Mm. Wow.
Educate. We don't just give a product. We talk safety. We talk common sense safety. We go into homes. We go into organizations. We go into to businesses, and we just talk common sense safety because you cannot always rely on someone to come when you dial 911 at the moment you need it. You
Yes.
have to take care of yourself until backup arrives.
Yes. Yes. Wow. Now that's a good perspective because and these days with so many things going on, the guy was telling a joke and he said he called the cops and he said, there's a guy here with a gun. And the 911 person said, well, how many guns? I think he just has one. Okay, well, hold on. We got somebody who's got 5 guns. We'll get right back to you. You know. So it's a joke, but it just shows, I think, so many of our law enforcement people are just stretched thin, with so
Yeah.
much stuff going on. Yeah. Yeah.
And when you were referring to the gun aspect and law enforcement, I do non-lethal. I don't do firearm training and things of that nature because I'm strong. I am a person who believes in that.
Hmm.
But unless you are educated and trained, that could become your worst nightmare.
Yes.
And our law enforcement are trained. They have, they do workshops, they do this and they do that, but they die on the job every day. So a
Yeah.
layperson like myself, I don't feel comfortable educating and relying on that.
Yes.
So I do common sense safety and everything that I educate on.
Mhm.
It is, if it is by chance taken away from you,
Yes.
it can't be used on you.
I got you.
You,
Yeah.
if you have enough time and enough fight and determination in you, you will get home safely.
Yes. Now, when you started your business, you know, was it kind of tough at first? Did you have some obstacles to getting started?
When I first started, of course, we always have obstacles. My true obstacle was myself, my
Mm,
confidence. I
yeah.
believed in it and I loved what I do, but I didn't know if I had the true skills. So it took me, I started off a little bit slow,
Mhm.
but believe it or not, I came across one person, well, not just one person, a few people that encouraged me, motivated me, and kept me going to the point where I felt so comfortable. I felt like I could conquer the world.
Mm.
Yeah.
Now, Shelly, you just touched on a nugget, and you just touched on a nugget, and so many people, I know there's always some like one person or a small group of people that their encouragement, they believed in you.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yeah,
And their encouragement is so critical. It really it does something for you, doesn't it?
yes. Yeah, because when I didn't have a particular skill level or didn't feel confident, there was enough people to give me tidbits.
Mm,
There wasn't one thing that worked for me, but I had a group of people throughout that gave me tidbits and suggestions.
uh-huh.
And it's hard today to get people that give you tidbits and suggestions because they don't want you to get ahead of them. They don't want you to step over them. But when we
Mm,
get in our mindset that if we help each other, we all thrive.
yes, yes. Now that's you that you're dropping some nuggets there. They say a rising tide raises all boats.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. Do you find some people that people resist helping you? Mhm.
I do sometimes because a lot of times I will schedule something and then when that person doesn't feel like they have enough people that show interest and and I'm saying it's not about how many people, it's not about interest, it's about if you can reach one,
Mhm.
if you can save one, if you can make one person feel a little bit less afraid leaving their home, a little bit less afraid of day-to-day activities, or just a little bit more aware of their surroundings, you've achieved. So I get
Yeah.
a lot of people that will start out, yes, we're going to do this, and then through the time they seem to lose a little bit of enthusiasm and then
Mm,
take a step back.
mm. And that's when that person who believes in you is so important. Yeah, yeah. Wow. The hmm, when you think about it, they often say that when you make a entrepreneurial choice, that when you look back over your life, it seems to fit in with what you're all about. You know what I'm saying? That like it's something about making a choice that's congruent with what you're about that really makes a difference. When you decided to get into personal safety, was there something like maybe in your past that made this seem like a very very natural thing?
Believe it or not, no, because a lot of my damsel sisters, they come from abusive relationships, sexual assault, childhood traumas. That was not a part of my life. My main goal is my daughter chose a career that terrified me.
Mm.
At that time, she was doing a residency at a youth detention center.
Ooh. Yes.
And I just wanted her to be safe
Uh-huh.
when she was not, when she was away, because I mean, we live in a society now that anybody can find out anything about you.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I just needed her to be safe when she was not at the center and living her life.
Yes.
And and then once I started into it, I was like, this is not just for my child, it's for everybody's child. My
Mm.
mom, my dad, my son, everyone, you want to get home safe.
Mm-hmm.
You want to give everyone the confidence and the ability to feel comfortable that they have something that just
Mm-hmm.
they walk with their heads a little high,
Mm-hmm.
um, more observant of their surroundings. Once you share this, it just helps everyone.
Yes. Yes. Wow. That's so beautiful. That, I think it shows a concern, a care for other people, that so often in entrepreneurship, we get so focused on trying to make some money. But I can hear your focus is on how can I help people? Because if you
Yes,
help them, then the money will come. Hmm.
yes, yes. And I can sell you a product. I can put a product in your hand and I walk away with a decent amount of money. But if that product does not help you help your family, help you get back home, help your neighbor, because when you help one person, that person spreads the word.
Yes, yes, yes,
And then I may have helped one person, but that person has shared it now with their coworker,
yes.
their neighbor, their aunt, their uncle, their niece, their nephew. They've shared it, so therefore it helps my business grow, but it also helps the family unit as well.
Wow. Well, once again, you just touched on a very important business building tip, that whole idea of referrals.
Yes.
Because a lot of times people want to rely on ads and commercials and stuff, but
Mhm.
referrals, especially in your business, it seems that referrals would be a key way to build your business.
Yes, because if that person leaves you confident, felt like they've been heard, because a lot of these women have stories and
Mhm.
I have to listen to their stories so I don't trigger them when I'm talking education. You don't
Okay.
want to, you want to take that trauma away from them. You want to leave them feeling, okay,
Yeah.
she cares. That makes sense. I can do that. I don't have to, be afraid of going home or even giving that person the opportunities that this situation is not good for me. It's time for me to step away. It's
Yeah.
time for me to heal. It's time for me to let go.
Yes. Yes. Wow. And I know so many times I know that you've been a bridge, you know, to help people move to that level of confidence. Yeah. Yeah. That's a great business. Now, had have you ever doubted yourself? Many entrepreneurs when they get started, I think you were saying it, they hit a few bumps in the road. Many times when you build your business, the people closest to you are often the last ones to come aboard. They're the ones that can
Yes,
be very critical. Have
yes.
you ever had that kind of self-doubt, and how did you overcome that?
I have had self-doubt. The way you overcome it is you take your moment and you have that pity party, but then what I call you get your partner, you get that one person that no matter what time of day you pick up the phone, they got something good to say. That
Mm,
those sad sacks and that's always got something to say.
yeah,
Those are the ones you don't completely let go of them, but
yeah,
those are not the ones that you call on when you're feeling a little uneasy. You
yeah,
got to keep a couple people in your reserve that will always have a strong word for you.
yeah,
And then there's nothing like that Bible.
yeah. Oh Lord, that Bible. Yes, sir. Yes, yes, ma'am. That Bible has been, my mother always had her own personal Bible. She valued it. She carried it with her everywhere, and it's funny. She used to say, whenever something happened, a challenge, she said, I don't go looking for scripture. She said, I just open the book and the scripture comes to me. I'm like, whoa. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And
Now,
then,
mhm,
and then with modern society now, with Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, you can connect with different groups of people.
mhm,
If you need someone for your business aspect, you can get in groups of that. But if you need someone in your prayer warrior aspects, you reaching that. When you need someone for that mental health, there's always a group of people that
mhm.
can touch base with what your needs are. So, just make sure that when you're out there building your business, you build a diverse group of workers, friends, or prayer warriors, business warriors, mental health warriors. You got to keep a good mix of them. It ain't nothing like having two or three people in your corner to cover all aspects, because we're none of us are even the best entrepreneur. We got backups.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
got backups. We don't know it all. We got backups.
Mhm. Wow, wow. I think you really are sharing the real nuts and bolts of entrepreneurship. Like people paying a, very often the people who talk most about it are folks who've never done it. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I know. I
yeah.
have been doing this now for almost 9 years.
Uh-huh.
And there's been some ups and downs, better years, worse years. COVID was nobody's friend, so you had to relearn how to reach people, because then there was no one-on-one a lot of times. So,
Yeah.
but but I'm more of a one-on-one kind of person. I like
Okay.
I like being able to talk with them and read their faces and see that emotion, and that can give me an aspect of how I need to share with that particular person.
Yeah. Yeah. Because and I guess in your business, people have you're getting a product that addresses something that they need, and you never know quite what that need is or why they need it, but as you interact with them it becomes clear. Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes,
Wow. Now,
yes.
do you have distractions that keep you from like really being focused on your business sometimes?
Of course, I'm a mother of four. I can't get distracted 24/7. Life will distract you.
Yes. Yeah.
I take care of my father. He's 80 years old. So it's like, there are things that can distract you, but you have to prioritize. You know,
Mm-hmm.
um, I I I normally give myself January and February to regroup, because
Uh-huh.
in January and February, those are cold months, winter months, people are kind of hibernating. So those are slow times. So that's
Mm-hmm.
kind of my time to, you know, rehibernate a little bit, to
Uh-huh.
clear my mind, to re rebuild a little bit.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Uh-huh. That's beautiful. And it's that kind of keeps you, that way you're able to refocus on, as you say, the priority. Yeah, the main thing, keep the main thing the main thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. The Now I remember when we met like a networking event. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
And that was a great event. I guess COVID sort of cut those out.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. But
And
those uh-huh,
that was in the beginning of my business.
uh-huh,
That was my way of introducing what I do to this area, because it's not, I mean, safety is not an area that is talked about.
right.
We have a lot of concealed carry classes and firearm classes, but just common sense safety
Yeah.
is not something that is talked about a lot. We have martial arts and things of that nature, but if you really think about it, if you don't practice it and use it,
Yeah.
when you are in a situation, you need to, you muscle memory has to kick in.
Yeah.
And if you go to a one safety class and you have an incident 6 months later, muscle memory is not going to kick in.
I got you. Yeah.
So, what I do is we just talk common sense, life events and things that people do on a day to day. It's a matter of getting people used to being aware of their surroundings.
Yes.
What I call as an OOBA loop. You are observing, interacting, and doing day to day things to build off of. And the networking when we met was the beginning. It gave
Yes.
me the opportunity to get out there
Uh-huh.
and find out what people wanted and what people needed. And 9 years later, I've tweaked that and I'm still tweaking it.
Yeah. Yeah. And you said very operational. Find out what people buy what they need, not what you're selling necessarily. Yeah.
Exactly.
Mm,
Exactly.
mm.
Exactly. Yeah.
Now I think I gave you one of my books at the time. Did I give you one of the 12 Universal?
No, no, you didn't give me your book at the time
Uh-huh.
because I think by the time you and I got together at that event,
Uh-huh.
your books were gone.
I had sold out.
But now I am not a big reader.
Uh-huh.
I do audibles, but I
Okay.
have listened to your um, what you
My,
call your highlights of your books.
yes.
I've read some of the book,
Uh-huh.
and because I haven't gone from page to page. I've gone through things that you like when you came on one time and you talked about it was the part about the cocoon and the butterfly
Oh
and that.
yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
Change. Yeah.
yeah. So it's like, okay, let me pinpoint on that. Get an understanding of what you meant by that. So
Uh-huh.
it's like sometimes when people say or where you give out tidbits,
Uh,
I have to take the time out then to go and pull it out and find it and
yeah.
research it then. That's because if I read a book from beginning to end,
Uh-huh.
I'm not a recall person.
Uh-huh.
When a
Mhm.
topic is brought to my attention, like you do when you go out periodically and you
Uh-huh.
bring topics to our attention,
Yeah.
that touches me the most.
Yes. Yeah.
Then I follow up with your topics through your books and your
Yeah.
chapters.
Well, thank you so much, Shelley, for that. And I think that when we wrote the book, we wrote it like that. So you could go, each chapter really stands alone. And we put a real extensive table of contents so that people can really go find it. I remember I was talking with my agent once and she said, well, this is why are you doing all this putting? I said, because I want people to be able to, if they are having a problem with focus, to be able to look at how to overcome lack of focus and go right to that point.
Right.
When we were talking about the cocoon, how the change may be painful. You start out as a caterpillar, but you can become a butterfly, but it must be painful to go from a crawling caterpillar to a flying butterfly. And so that way people can go to just that point. So it was written like that. So thank you so much. Yeah, yeah.
And that point too, kind of like when COVID came about, now you're not out interacting. So I've gone from being a butterfly back to the cocoon. And
Mm,
that situation, you still have to look at it, even though it was
yes,
reversed, you still have to look at it in that positive manner.
yeah,
It's that change will come and
yes,
you'll get back around to being that butterfly again.
yes. Wow, that's beautiful. Well, now, as you think back, so you've come to the education, to the accounting arena. If you look back now at your life, if you look back to your younger self, you know,
Mhm.
what advice would you give your younger self? That self that's just getting started out good in the accounting area. What advice would you give yourself?
I I would have told myself to take it to the next level.
Mm,
Take
okay.
it to the next level. Rather than focus on balancing and managing dollars and cents and keeping books and things that I would have taken it to the next level and become a little bit more educated on business law,
Mm,
um, tax law.
uh-huh,
Because when you are in business for yourself, if you don't know it, you got to rely on somebody else.
hmm.
And then, but if you rely on somebody else without enough knowledge, you can be led down the wrong path.
I got
So
you.
my younger self would have paid a little bit more attention to the things that I didn't like and wasn't interested in.
Okay.
Even though you don't like it, even though you're not real happy about it, you need to know just enough to take you to the next level.
Wow. Now that's a powerful statement. And you know what? I wish I could just take so many of our young people and say, listen to this, listen to this. So often people are focused on what they like doing. The young man was taking one of those courses to become a personal trainer. You
Hmm.
hear advertised on the radio, and it's halfway misleading in a sense, but you can take the course, you can take it from home, and in 6 weeks you're a certified personal trainer, and you can start charging $100 an hour. And it really leaves out a lot.
Yeah.
And so when the young man realized that you need to be somewhere, you need to be in a gym somewhere where you can meet people who want personal training. And once he got into the gym environment, there were other things he needed to learn and to be a functioning part of that gym. They had their rules, their regulations, and he just was not willing to do that. And so he basically went from gym to gym. I think he finally got it together and realized, like, if you're going to be in the game, you better understand the game, and
Yes,
you better,
yes, that
yes.
is true.
Now you're taking care of your dad. If Now this is an interesting question. If you look down the road 25 years or so, what advice would you give yourself right now from 25, from where you see yourself being in the next 25 or 30 years?
I'm hoping in the next 25 to 30 years, I can continue to be doing what I'm doing. I'm probably gonna be a little bit slower at it. I'm probably not gonna be able to get down on the mats with my customers and really show them the moves, but just sharing the knowledge with them, and hopefully by then building a team of other women who
Mm-hmm.
want to share this option. My goal now is to get into not just North Carolina, not just the Wake County area that I'm in, just start sharing in some of these smaller communities so that what I have to offer, maybe I can pass along to someone else so they can now, build their own safety network or
Yeah.
just share their options.
Yes.
Somebody that may be traumatized through life events, this may be their outlet, a way of, getting past it, sharing, I live this. Now I want to show you how not to live this, how
Mm.
to overcome it.
Yes. Wow. Well, I tell you, we've covered a lot of areas, and I guess just our last question or so. You've been a mom, you've been an accountant, entrepreneur. When you look at your life, what would you say is your greatest victory?
My greatest victory is I feel like I've lived a full life.
Okay.
I've had a lot of hurt. One
Mhm.
day my mama left the house going to a Christmas party and didn't come back.
Mm.
That almost took me out of here mentally.
Yes.
Overcame it.
Mhm.
And if she could see me now, I would think that she would be proud of how I've become, because I know my dad is.
Yes. Yes.
And then my children were her pride and joy. If she could see what my babies are doing now, oh my goodness. So
Yes.
just to be able to say that I've come from a farm girl, my
Mhm.
house was a sweet potato patch.
Ooh, okay.
So
A real farm girl.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
to become a homeowner,
Mhm.
to be married with my husband 34 years, you know, nothing is always perfect, but I've overcome things. I feel great with life. And I feel like anybody that any entrepreneur has some story.
Yes.
That story is what's going to make you become the entrepreneur you need to be.
Woo! That story. that story is just like David and Goliath.
Yep, yep. And yep. And the story, I mean, it's not one story, it's your life story,
Yes.
you know. And if when we get like you, the grandmother used to say, sometimes you just need to get still.
Hmm.
And when you get still, you hear those stories from way back, from when you were a child. You know, I won't ever forget. Well, on Saturday mornings, I would sleep in, but as soon as
Hmm.
I got up and put my clothes on, I had to go down to the fields
Hmm.
because that's where all the family was working.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Even though I was too young to be that, that was my routine.
Yeah. So you come down and watch then. Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. And look, just in time for the peanuts and Pepsi.
Uh-huh. Yeah. 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 Wow. That, that's a way of life now. That was such a learning experience. So many times we learn greatest by example.
Yes.
And I shudder, I feel badly sometimes when you have people who have no grandparents and for whatever life did, maybe even no parents. And what a blessing it is to have some type of roots,
Yes. Yes.
of a family. As you said, the family, you all had a routine, you did it, and that was the way it was. But look at how much character it built in you.
Yes. And my children never lived that routine, but believe me, they heard it through all the generations. So their
Yeah.
accomplishments now, I don't believe they would take for granted. I think they really appreciate where they are because they heard the stories from way back when.
Woo! Okay. All right. The stories from way back when. That sounds like a title, doesn't it?
Is that gonna be your next book?
Woo, now it might be the stories from way back when. My goodness. I love it. One thing I learned is when you hear it, write it down. you know, Shelly, sometimes when you don't write it down, you begin like, what was that thing? What was it? And that phrase is gone forever.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I get to the point now I have to write down things or when I'm listening to some of my trainings and stuff like this,
yeah.
I can't write notes and hear it, like I used to in my younger days. I
Mm.
could hear it and then take my notes. Now I got to push that pause button and jot it down and start it again. Thank God for replays these days.
Yes. Well, you do whatever it takes. But I'll tell you this. You said you were 60 years old. If I was driving, I would ask you for some ID. Okay. Like, ain't no way. Ain't no way. You are just beautiful.
And I think because of the last few years, I stopped doing what I had to do and I
Mm,
started doing what I wanted to do, even though it was a little tight on the budget sometimes. When you have to, when you work for survival
hmm.
without the joy in it, that ages somebody.
Yes.
So anybody that's out there that's working for survival now,
Mm,
find your niche, your love, and turn that into some type of business. It doesn't have to be something that it may not make you rich, but
mm,
if it can just put a little joy back in your day.
yes. Wow. Now that's one of those words that when you hear that, you go like, yeah, yeah, I'm with that. I'm with that. Well, Shelly, you have dropped so many pearls, so many jewels on us today. Was there anything else you wanted to add, from being a mom, being an accountant, being an entrepreneur, being a caretaker, for your dad? Anything else you'd like to add before we wrap up today?
I do not have anything to add, but I want to say thank you for having me on. If anyone out there needs safety in their life for please reach out to me. My name is Shelly Currie. I'm a damsel independent pro. I offer non-lethal safety options, and on my website is Shelly Shelly Currie CURRIE.net. If you go to that website, you can see what I offer. Reach out to me, and we can communicate on whatever your needs are to protect you and your family and to make this world we live in just a little bit better. Because I tell women, if the multitudes of us start fighting back, some of these sexual assault crimes are going to stop. We got
Yes.
to stop becoming victims and become warriors.
Woo! I like that. Stop being victims and be warriors. Well, Shelly Currie, you have truly been an inspiration to mothers, to entrepreneurs, and to women in general to just see how you have taken control of your life and made it work for you. So thank you so much. I'll be posting your website and whatnot so that people can learn more about you. But thank you so much for sharing. I think a very necessary perspective of a person who came through some of the traditional channels, but also when that entrepreneurial bug hit, you didn't shirk away. You made the break. I know sometimes it may have been a little scary, but you
Yeah.
made that break and made it work. So thank you so much for being on Success Talk.
Thank you. Thank you.
And you continue with what you're doing. And for our listeners, thank you for listening today. This is a broadcast that I think you want to listen to again and again because, in the words of Shelly, there's some thoughts that can help you, that can heal you. And so this is Dr. Herbert Harris saying you can be what you want to be, do what you want to do, and have anything you desire, always knowing that the best is yet to come. And so it
Amen.
is. Amen.